I see this clip that said, Ryan Grimm says he's glad Plattner won because it's forced progressives to confront bigotry against white men, comparing it to people coming out of the closet to address homophobia. If he said this while he worked at the Intercept, HR would have pushed him into lava.
And a lot of people were dunking all over Chris Rabb for it. I think this is an important and needed conversation to have. That's one reason I'm glad that Plattner's in the race, because he's forcing this conversation. And you can't, I don't think you can kind of force people, you can't force it back in, but what you can do is have that conversation. Like, and talk to people like, why are people so passionately supportive of Plattner?
Tease it out, yeah.
And then get from people like, why do you hate him so much? Like, what is it? Like, because for Rabb, and for I think a lot of others, it's just aesthetics. It's like that he looks like somebody they don't like.
I think that's correct. I mean,
that's why
bro, you dog, suck my nut. Genuinely, like what Chris Rabb said. If you didn't see it yesterday, watch the stream yesterday. But what Chris Rabb said basically was like, when it comes to Graham Plattner, it's obvious that he's getting a lot of leeway for his behavior that I wouldn't get as a black person because he is white. That's what's the crux of the conversation, right? And this is Ryan Grimm's response. Ryan Grimm is like, well, I think Chris Rabb actually feels like that because it's completely about aesthetics, right? He looks at a Graham Plattner and he sees a white man, and obviously that's wrong and unjust.
Want that conversation because I feel like we can maybe break through.
It's a great conversation for you in particular to have, because we've been talking about this for a long time. And
it's a flip side of back in the early 2010s and 2000s, when the gay rights movement was gaining steam. What
the Barney Frank argument?
What people discovered, is that you've got a gay uncle. You're like,
listen, Chatter, you can call me a liberal, you can't call me a liar. Call me a liberal, you can't call me a liar.
You actually, once people started coming out of the closet,
the Andrew Sullivan argument.
Yeah, once people started coming out of the closet, like, oh, that guy's gay. I love that guy. He's great, and my life is fine around him. This is the reverse for liberals. It's like, this is a white guy, and he's actually pretty nice.
A big burly combat vet.
Big burly combat.
Also, you peeped that he called Chris Rabb a liberal here, by the way. Chris Rabb was actually a member of the DSA, right? Graham Plattner disavowed being like a socialist, disavowed being left wing. You are a liberal. You are a racist, Chatter, and I don't take racist opinions seriously. And so is Ryan Grimm. I'll stop bearing the lead. So is Ryan Grimm. Ryan Grimm's a racist. Ryan Grimm is a racist. I had this inkling 8 months ago, a year ago, right? This qualifies it for. This verifies it. Right, Ryan Grimm. Ryan, thank you, Chris Rufo. Right, thanking a Nazi. Thank you, Chris Rufo, for killing affirmative action or DEI, because it was impeding class consciousness. Like, that is a racist sentiment. And this also is like, we're not talking more about a white men. We need to be talking more about white men. Please, let's talk more about white men. We need to center white men's feelings. And why that Chatter got so mad at me is because I'm not doing that. And I don't do that. Chatter is a white person. I guarantee it. That Chatter is a white person, right? Post your arm in your unban request if you're not. But she won't do that. Because you're bitch me. Chatter is a white person.
I don't know Sean's work. His language is like interesting. Bitch made, suck my nut. Like, it's still very streamer, bro. So I don't know. Is he like, where is he at? Like, where is he politically? Like, who is he? No, where is he philosophically?
Right? And white people get mad when they are not the center of the conversation. White people, you know when people say like, it's not 2020 anymore. We moved past woke one. Woke one was so long ago. We're not doing it anymore. That's because they hated woke one because they were not the center of the conversation. There's not a single white person who says that, who is not resentful that black people had a little bit of attention during 2020. Not a single. Anybody who looks back at woke one and is like, yeah, we're not in that anymore. We're in a different state. We're in woke 2.0. We're in dark woke. That is from resentment. They resent that they are not the center of the conversation. And they hate anybody who tells them this truth. So they push them out of the movement. That's it. They push them out of the movement. It's silly. It's silly. And Mons, you can check that Chatter too. Probably a Hassan Chatter. You cannot call me a liberal if you're a Hassan Chatter. I'm more left-wing than Hassan is, bro. I am more leftist than Hassan is. Like, I just want to point that out very clearly right now, right? And I like Hassan. No beef at Hassan. No beef. And that's fine. That is okay. But you cannot call me a liberal. You cannot do it. Because that's racist. You are a racist. Like, this is just true. Black people are liberals. White people who will disagree with the science.
This is actually I'm sure Sean's going to talk about it, but this was my frustration with the Marxists who, and I'm not talking about the ones who are like, I'm a black Marxist. Okay, but you're still like fundamentally misunderstanding my argumentation, because the ones who are like, I'm a Marxist, they're like, it doesn't matter if you're black or gay or a woman. Like, that's secondary. That's a distraction. That's identity politics. But the dilemma is like, again, I don't see, like, I kind of like I do understand it logically, just not embodied. Like, it doesn't ring true to me that you could dismantle capitalism without targeting people's, or like dismantling people's bigotry, but not as a whole. Like, you know, we're not obviously trying to dismantle. Racism will always exist. We're trying to mitigate the amount of racism that exists. Not that we'll ever get rid of it, but that we'll have less of it. Because right now it's like very loud and prominent, right? Homophobia and transphobia will always exist because people are people. The idea is that we're trying to mitigate it because it's something we can encourage out of people, right? So I think sometimes people think it's all or nothing. Like, oh, we have to be, you know, like, oh, we need to be 100% anti-racist for anything to work. It's like, no, you just need to be less racist for people to also get on board that capitalism sucks. Because capitalism, like right now, white people will keep black people from succeeding because they're so racist that will like screw over their own children. Like, white people will screw over their own children because they hate black people so much. So how are those white people supposed to come together in coalition to take, you know what I'm saying? So then it feels like when you're critical of Hassan or somebody else, it feels like people are like, oh, you're a liberal. Look, I went through a very hard liberal stage. It was really clear and obvious. Okay? And it really matters to a lot of people. It's a life-changing experience for people. It's very important they go through that stage, especially if they came from conservatism. The liberal stage feels so fucking enlightened. It feels like the greatest, most deep, most passionate understanding of what it means to be a person. And I'm never going to take that away from people. I just want you to know, like with everyone else, there's never an end to our growth. And so any stage we're in now is also not the end of the road. The way Marxists act like Marxism is the end of the road makes me question their understanding of humanity, because I think they're stuck in that two bubble mindset where they're just like, yes, like this is it. If we just get here. And in my head, it's like, okay, it's never ending. So as long as the competition isn't that like, oh, the idea is like you're staying stagnant. The reason I'm like, hey, this is a liberal talking point, or hey, this is a conservative talking point, is it screams stagnation. When I mention women on stream and I'm like, girly, this is a conservative dog whistle, I'm being seriously like concerned for you. It sounds like, oh, I just hate this girl. I'm literally seriously concerned. My girl, please, you're going at the, and the same way people have said, oh my God, Brittany, no. And I'm like, oh my God, no. Like we need to tell each other, because stagnation is so built into how we are as people. So for him to say, I'm left of Hassan, it's no shade. Yeah, like there's no beef between him and Hassan. I don't want beef between Hassan. I don't want beef with Hassan. I don't even want him to know who I am. But I still can't not say anything against Hassan because, oh, now it's not good timing. It's never good timing. Just like Dr. Ball said yesterday, like he's been hearing his whole life, like this is the election. This is the election of our lifetime. I've been hearing this my whole life. I've been told my whole life, like just for the cause, for the cause, for the cause. And I'm like, if you tell me to be quiet one more time for the cause, you know what I mean?
Or ultra. That's the divide. If you're black and you disagree with Hassan, you're a liberal. If you're black and you disagree with Ryan Grimm, you're a liberal. If you're white and you disagree with Ryan Grimm, same metric. You are an ultra. Your differences with your Renaissance left-wing beliefs. I'm not going to get into it too much. I'm not going to get too deep into it, right? Because it's not like a huge gap or whatever. But I just did the philosophy on electoralism. Hassan subscribes to lesser voting. I don't. But because I talk about black issues and I come from a black perspective, because FD, I'm saying in terms of self-identification and advocacy, because I've never heard FD embrace socialism, just progressive policy. I think FD definitely was like more liberal than Hassan was 2 years ago.
Yeah, but he's not. His recent content's all about socialism. Like FD's, he keeps saying no white people at the cookout till socialism. So I think he's locked in. Right.
But, and this is a problem with people, and talking about black people, not you, obviously, T-Blaze. I know you're black, right? But like the problem is that like black people's positions can never change, right? FD was more liberal than both me and Hassan at one point. And now, right, at his own admission, he's done more research, right? time has passed since the election, and he's now more leftist, right? He's changed his position. He's moved on his position, right? Now he's also like against less people voting, right? He's anti less people voting, and that's where the difference lies, right? So that's the issue. But in the minds of racists.
Yeah. Chad says, I like your phrase of "you'd shoot me after the revolution," though. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried that once again, white people are like, promise us. If you just team up with us to take down capitalism, we'll be friends after. Then we're all going to get together. We're going to do this. And then they're going to turn around and kill everybody that was marginalized or do what they've been doing this whole time. Like, marginalized people built this country and they get zero of the credit. Do you know what I'm saying? We already did this before a million times. And I'm saying, well, I can't trust you not to do this because it sounds like you're only teaming up with me for this. This is why I don't trust Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens. I don't care how much they say they're anti the genocide. It sounds convenient. It sounds like you're gonna back the next one though, right? Like, for political reasons, you're anti-genocide right now. But I tell you, in the future, all of a sudden they're gonna forget their whole stance of being anti-genocide, and all of a sudden they're gonna turn around and decide to actually genocide good. I don't trust it. It doesn't, like, you know, whatever. But
right? Because I'm going to call it what it is. I'm not saying white leftists anymore. In the mind of racists, right, Black people occupy a very specific role in the political class, right? It's, you know, you have white people who are allowed to be Nazis, white people who are allowed to be like moderate Republicans, white people who are allowed to be centrists, and then you have liberals who, some white people who just care too much about Black issues are there, but then all Black people are there. And then you have white people who are allowed to be socialists, and then white people who are allowed to be communists. You know what I mean? And that's it. That is it. So if you are a Black person and you disagree with a white person on anything, you are automatically reduced back into this box of being a liberal. And that is it. That is your only... Because
the and I'm sure Sean will say this, but the what they're saying is Sean is stupid and Hassan is smart because Hassan is white. And if Sean wasn't so stupid, he would see that Hassan was right. Because that's what they're saying to me. They're like, oh, you're just a woman. You're just queer. You're just West Asian, but you're like not Hassan. Hassan is smart because Hassan is popular. So you can't be smart because you're not popular. Oh, is that why I'm not smart? Interesting. But Hassan is smart because he's white and popular.
Political ideology that you can exhibit. And that's the issue. That's the problem. But these people will just close their ears to it. And they'll be like, yeah, no, you're a liberal, you're a liberal, you're a liberal. When they are supporting...
Actually, do you guys notice? I will say this out loud in case you don't know this. The reason I stopped saying that people of color are... I changed the way I spoke because I watched a bunch of Black TikToks about this. That it is a myth in any way, shape, or form that Black people specifically and or religious Black people are more homophobic or transphobic than white people. But you see how we give all the social credit to white people as being less homophobic, even though that's not fucking true? Like, we think it's true because of the way that whiteness has convinced us. And so I was thinking about it like, oh, they're religion or Christian. So are the white people. So I make sure to not focus, because this is a dog whistle that the white supremacists use. Like, well, Black people, they're homophobic. This is what they're doing against Palestinians. They'll say, oh, but Palestinians, they're so backwards. They're homophobic. You're homophobic. You're homophobic. Charlie Kirk is literally homophobic and literally saying, oh, these Muslims, they're homophobic. You're homophobic. Why are you talking about anybody being you're homophobic? This is atheist YouTube. I'm begging atheist YouTube to stop focusing on brown and Black people for being homophobic and focus on white people. Because, like, they're homophobic. You know what I mean? They're so focused fighting. You know what I mean? And this is how it becomes more about, I'm telling you, it's everywhere. Even in the most liberal and the most, like, well-intentioned liberal bubbles, the liberals are absolutely spouting, like, white supremacist dog whistles and talking points. I'm telling you.
Liberal establishment candidates. Well, not established. They're supporting liberal candidates. Right? They're supporting progressive, which is still liberal candidates. They're supporting social democrats, which are still liberals. Right? They have historically supported the social democrats who are liberals. They are supporting people who are aligned with the establishment, right? Or who will align with the establishment. Right? They're engaged with the electoral framework, which is inherently neoliberal. Like, stuff like that. I don't do that, but I still get called a liberal because they are the bestest of boys because they are white.
Oh, I just want to add that it's obvious to a lot of white leftists that leftism to them is not about coherent political ideology, but centered around what they personally like. If they like something, then it must be leftist because they are leftist. And if they don't like it, it must be liberal because they are not liberal. This is why this phenomenon occurs. They view any critique they disagree with to be either liberal or in nature when it's from a black person, or liberal in practice and serving liberalism when coming from a white person. That's a note he put on the screen.
That is it. Let's continue with this conversation.
The reverse for liberals, it's like, this is a white guy, and he's actually pretty nice.
A big burly combat vet.
Big burly combat vet.
Someone
Oh
you can
my
see
God.
with Joe Rogan.
And he's fine. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Like the current cultural divorce between kind of progressives and white men is so like stark.
Do you remember literally yesterday, people were yelling at me when I said the entirety of the
Oh, Chet says, also, despite some of the streamer language, Sean is consistently on the right side of advocating for women and queer leftists who are dismissed in Hassan's chat as red femmes and centers disabled people. Okay, love that.
political landscape is centered and catered around the experiences of white men. Remember when I said that literally yesterday? And chatters who were like, that's not true. That's not the case. And this is Ryan Gunn being like, yeah, I feel like we as progressives, we need to focus more on white men. There's a divorce between what progressives talk about and how they talk about white men. He's saying it, his own words, right now. This is a poll, but for white men, right? But it's not seen as that because white men are the default, right? Right? But then like leftists, or I would say racists, get mad when they're like, when you try to correct that disparity, and they're like, well, why are you not thinking about the white man? Why do you want to seem to help out everybody except for cis, white men, able-bodied white men? Why do you want to help everybody out except for them? It's just like, but because they don't see the benefits that they get in society, and they resent black people, right, for the fact that they were the focus of the attention for 2 years.
Wait, Alex Colston? I take from a dude who once earnestly tried to convince me that police brutality wasn't radicalized in the US, our best and brightest. From Ryan Grimm's former employee.
That's it. That's literally what it is. That is literally what it is. There's a reason why when I say something, everybody gets all open arms about me being a liberal, but Hassan will echo that exact sentiment 3 months later. Then they're like, yeah, that's base. That's true. That's right. That's so correct.
With Joe
It's
Rogan.
because they give Hassan the benefit of the doubt. Like sometimes I feel it too, where I'm like, can I get the benefit of the doubt here that like you guys know my intentions? But the truth is like not really, because people turn on a dime, bro. This is how I feel about watching some of these women on TikTok or YouTube, where I'm like, like I want to keep giving you the benefit of the doubt, but it's been like a year. It's been like a year, you know, and I'm so confused, like what's happening. And then the fact that like people aren't getting it, I'm just like, that's the thing is like, I don't expect people to always have good faith with me necessarily, or to trust that I'm coming from a good place. Like you should make sure. Like one time on stream, I said, oh yeah, I don't care if people have housing. I don't care if unhoused people get housing, because I was in my head debating a conservative who would then ask, do you want to house all these people? And my reply would have been like, yeah, I don't care if we house people. But the person in chat was like, wait, you don't want to house people? And I was like, no, I do want to house people. And then I realized like, oh, the way that it sounds. So it's good sometimes too, if you hear me say something, you want to ask me. Or the other day, somebody was like trying to make a point about how I'm a capitalist, or I engage in capitalistic, like I focus capitalism because I said I wouldn't be on YouTube unless I got paid. But I was trying to explain that I wouldn't put myself in a position of harm unless I was for a passion or I was making money, because this is a really scary job. Like, and like, why would I do this for fun? You know what I mean? Like I would do it for the love of the game, which is different because they would follow a passion like activism or something, but I wouldn't just do it unless it was like truly a calling. Some people are just online because like I have so many people who are like, should I be like a streamer? And I'm like, why? And they're like, because it's like you make a lot of money. And I was like, no, you do not make a lot of money. And no, like do not do this unless you recognize how difficult it is and how scary it can be. That's what I was trying to say. But it sounds like I'm saying, oh, I'm doing it because it makes me lots of money. If I did it because it makes me lots of money, that's more capitalist. That's thinking like, oh, I hate this job. I hate everything about it, but it makes a lot of money, so I'm going to sell my soul. That to me is capitalist. Me saying, why would I do, you know what I'm saying? That feels different.
And he's fine. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Like
Oh, Chat says they recognize personhood in Hassan, not you or Sean, because they only exist as NPCs. Well, I'm telling you this right now. It's because we're not rich and famous. The left also likes rich and famous people who are handsome. We are neither conventionally attractive next to white supremacy, and we are neither rich or popular. That is why our opinions matter less. And that's it. Even though this is my full-time living, even though this is my full-time job, even though I've been doing this forever, like my opinion won't matter until I'm bigger or until I have more money or until I look prettier and then I become more popular. That's it. The left is also, this is why I say decenterment. If the women in Hassan's group decentered men, they would not follow him. A decentered woman could only watch Hassan the same way she would watch anyone else. But the way these girls are posting on TikTok saying like, you know, just in case he sees this, ladies, decenter men. Decenter these men. You know what I mean?
Current cultural divorce between...
Wait, Chet says, how does that not drive you crazy? Not being taken seriously. To be honest with you, if that's what you're asking me, it's a bit of a blessing. Are you asking me that? Wait, I don't want to make sure. Are you asking me that? Because if you are, it's been a little bit of a blessing. Because it's allowed me to get famous or popular at my own pace and not be thrown to the wolves when I wasn't ready. You know? Just said, I absolutely enjoy your frank, honest analysis of the situation. Oh my God, me? Really? Oh my God, thank you. Yeah, I think it can hurt my feelings sometimes because I feel like I work so hard. But to be honest with you, like, it's all in training. Because one day, guys, I think it might happen and I want to be ready for it. I'm just not ready yet. Like I think 45-year-old Brittany is going to be really ready, you know? But I think it's been a blessing. Okay, don't take me seriously. But at some point, it won't matter because I'll have built something for myself, you know? Yeah, again, I can't engage in this bubble and be ethical. So if I was popular now and being taken seriously, maybe that's also an indicator that I'm doing something wrong. You know, it's finding balance, right? Chaz says, is it still leftist to want to make a lot of money to give it away and help people with it because you feel like it's the best you can do under our current social framework? No, I think that's a capitalistic dream they sell us. I've gone through that dream where I'm like, I'm going to make a lot of money and give it away. That's capitalism saying, why make the government more accountable? You know, you have to make the government accountable. We cannot be the reason people get fed. The government has to be the reason people get fed, meaning we all contribute, right? So it's actually a capitalist dream they sell us, especially immigrants. You can get rich and you can house your family. You can buy a house for everybody. You can pay off people's college loans. You should be paying off people's college loans. Why am I trying to get rich to pay off people's child? Like you should, the government should. So it's actually kind of it's a story that capitalism sells us, you know? Chess is like, how do you handle knowing so much but people not respecting that, ignoring your experience? That's what I was asking. Yeah, I think, well, look, the right people, listen, I really respect FD Signifier and Michael Burns and Elliot Sang, and these people are in my chat and I'm getting the social validation I need to know, okay, at least people I respect, they're in the comments. Okay, I feel good about that. I'm trying to extend an olive branch to people. I'm trying to make it clear, like, I'm not coming for you, bro. Like, if you want to collab, chill, we'll talk about it. We'll talk about our differences. But as long as the people that I do respect, we're good, we're good. The issue is if FD made a video about me and dragged me the way he dragged BE, then I'd be like, oh shit, what did I do? You know what I mean? I'd be like, oh fuck, you know? And then I'd have to like double check, like, did I fuck up? You know? And then maybe I did, maybe I didn't. But the fact that FD has yet to make a video dragging me means I'm probably okay. But if Hassan made a video dragging me, like, I don't care. I don't respect him. I don't respect him, so it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But yeah, if Michael Burns or FD or Elliot made a video, I'd be like, oh no, I fucked up. You know, what did I do? You know what I mean? Stuff like that, you know? Anyways.
Kind of progressives and white men is so like stark that it's just culturally, morally, ethically wrong, but also just pragmatically from a political perspective.
Bro, I thought he was crying for a second.
Like stark. That it's just culturally, morally, ethically wrong, but also just pragmatically from a political perspective. You can't build a national party.
Yeah.
If you assume every white guy or every white guy with a deep voice, a combat vet or whatever, is like out to get you.
Or if you talk about
Why do you keep saying a combat veteran like it's not a big fucking deal? You mean so he kills people in other countries? Why are you saying that like it's, you know what I mean?
him in a way that implies he does have sort of built-in problems.
Right.
So
just inherent toxicity or something.
yeah, whether
Buddy, because Graham Plattner does. Like, it's not even a conversation about, like, you know, maybe the way that we talk about, like, white men being, like, calling them, like, colonizers or whatever. Maybe that's unproductive. It's not even that conversation. Graham Plattner is that guy. Graham Plattner is a colonizer. He went to a, like objectively speaking, he joined an occupying army multiple times, being fully aware that it was bad, went to other nations and did exactly violent colonialism. Violent colonialism. He was a guard at a death camp. Exactly. So this is not even a conversation about maybe the left is too meanie bobini to white men or whatever. Like, Graham Plattner is not that guy, bro. Graham Plattner is not that guy. You want people to move on from Totenkopf so fast? No, not even. Not even, because Ryan Grimm is out here defending the Totenkopf. They're like, Ryan Grimm is out here being like, I'll show you a tweet. Yada, 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 something about voters and tattoo, whatever. It's really as simple as this for the vast majority of voters. When you say Nazi tattoo, normal people think swastika, then people find out it's this, and the Republicans look silly.
What?
Not that's the only reason not to vote for him, but his excuse is laughable. This isn't just the swastika, it's a symbol, a symbol specifically for the SS units. They were elite Nazis. Looks like something from Grateful Dead. Like, he's like defending Graham Plattner having a Nazi. And actually,
Wait, what?
this isn't.
The issue didn't move the polls at all because the average voter looks at this photo and says, what, wait, that's a Nazi tattoo? And then immediately sympathizes with Plattner's story about getting the tattoo drunk with his 20s because they feel they wouldn't have known any. That's, oh my God, yeah. Like, that is such a good way to make people feel so seen as ignorance. And I feel that too. And I sometimes feel really seen with you guys when I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know. And then you kind of feel relieved because you're like, oh, thank God I wasn't the only idiot in the fucking room. But then at the same time, his inability to like research or think about it, like I love tattoos. At one point in my life, girls, I thought I was going to be all tatted up. I was like going to go to tattoo conferences and be all about tattoo people. And then I learned about the relationship between white supremacy and tattoos. And I was like, oh, and I fell off of it. You know, there is a huge overlap between white supremacy and tattoo culture. So you got to be very careful about which US tattoo culture you join, because one day you might be in a bubble with a bunch of guys on motorcycles with vests and they might be sitting here being like, white lives matter. You know what I mean? So you got to be really researched about the groups you follow, because there were so many bubbles I thought I was going to be a part of. But every time I entered the bubble, I was like, why is it so mean here? Why are you guys so mean? Why are you all bigoted? It's because there's a lot of patriarchy in a lot of these bubbles. You're hard if you have tattoos. You're so hard. That's the skull and bones. Look at this. Skeletons and skulls. Look, I have a skull on my back. I have, it's actually a custom tattoo that was created by an artist who painted the picture based off of what I told him I wanted. So he painted it on like a paint, like an oil canvas. And then he started tattooing it on me. And then I had another artist finish it because that other guy moved, but it was an original piece. So nothing is taken from anything. It was like my vision in my head brought to life. So I'm really proud of it. I want to get it retouched up and like honestly expanded. But okay, when I go into tattoo shops and I see these like very specific tattoos, I do think of the military, and then I do think of white supremacy, and then I do think about the possibility that a lot of these tattoos were on sailors who raped your great grandmas. Sorry. That. I guess it wouldn't even be your great grandma, it'd be your grandma. So just FYI, when I see military tattoos, I just have to think like, how many of you had that tattoo when you were doing horrific shit to people? You know?
I see tattoo, normal people think swastika, then people find out it's this, and the Republicans look, this isn't just the swastika, it's a symbol specifically for the SS units. They were elite Nazis. Looks like something from Grateful Dead. Like, he's like defending Graham Plattner having an actual Nazi tattoo. He's defending the Nazi tattoo itself. The Nazi tattoo itself. He's not just saying, oh, he didn't know. Nobody knows what it is. It's like, well, it just looks like a symbol from Grateful Dead. It just looks like a regular skull and crossbones, you know, it's whatever. Like, it's just insane.
So
Just inherent toxicity or something.
yeah, whether you're talking about racism or sexism, yes.
And if you believe that, you can point.
And he said both of those things. He's been racist and sexist on the timeline. People are not making this up. People are not making this up. He has been racist and sexist on the timeline. This idea that the left is like looking at a white man and there's like, oh, he must be racist because he's a white man, or he must be sexist because he's a white man. Like, this idea is laughably insane. He has said these things on the timeline.
I said earlier, like, that there's a particular problem that Democratic liberals kind of have with white guys. And it is particular to white guys. It's also all guys. Like,
yes. Black and Hispanic men went for Trump, and he made real inroads with Black and Hispanic men for a reason.
This isn't true, by the way. This is not true. Hispanic men, yes, maybe a little bit, right? This is not true for Black men. Is Ryan Grimm, respected journalist Ryan Grimm, going to call her out for this falsehood, this fallacy? Black men went for Kamala Harris in like the second highest degree after Black women. It was Black women and then Black men and then everybody else. Everybody else. They did not lose Black men. Black men did not vote for Kamala Harris, right? Because this is how she lost. She lost all demographics. They didn't vote. Trump did not see any meaningful change or a meaningful movement in regards to Black men. 2% less Black men voted for Kamala. Ringing the alarms is our fault. And a lot more didn't vote at all. It's so silly. It's so silly.
And I also think people don't fully internalize. They hear him say that he did 4 combat tours. They hear him say that. I don't think they internalize what that means, and in particular, what it means to have been a Marine in Ramadi and Fallujah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were killing people. What are you talking about?
Stupid.
You don't think they're really centering Graham Plattner
Oh
enough in
my
this conversation?
God. He
They don't
thinks we're
think about
fucking
what it's like to be
stupid.
him. Yeah, and I think a lot of people who have an issue with him, you know, are thinking about the people he was killing. Maybe. That's what I'm thinking about, personally.
You could just go Google.
See, because they're thinking about him. He went over there and he had to kill people and it was really horrible. I'm not his therapist, girl. If I was his therapist, I'd be empathetic. We know what it means. Again, in a position of power, we have to be very critical about people. Okay? And that's why I'm so annoyed that people have been so lax on him, because I'm like, what are you talking about? We are very aware of what it means. And yes, I can hold empathy for boys who are convinced and brainwashed by propaganda to put on uniforms to go kill people in other countries, and they have to come back and live with their choices when the people who gave them those orders would never do it themselves. I am very empathetic to that. That is separate. That empathy is separate from the fact that this man is asking for power and you guys are like, here's the keys to the city. And I'm like, don't give him the keys. And then people have the audacity to say like, oh, you just want Republicans to win. They've already won. Trump got elected twice. Twice. The first time wasn't enough for people. They're like, you know what? Let's give this guy a second chance. Okay, there are people who still love him now. They won, bro. The only way to even have a hope for the future is to stop playing these fucking games with these Republicans. Stop putting Plattner as our option.
Google like Ramadi Marines 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
Google death count. Like, how many people did they murdered? Yeah, do that, actually. They come back and inform us.
There's movies about it, but there's also lots of like real-time footage that has been captured of, and Ramadi in particular, at the time.
I'm sorry, I gotta say, this is hypocritical of Ryan Grimm, as somebody who reports on stuff the IDF does. That's
Interesting.
immoral. It's hypocritical.
Oh, that's interesting.
You can't do this. You can't do this. I'm sorry, you can't.
Yeah.
This is hypocritical. Is Ryan Grimm in 20 years going to be like, I would just Google what happened on October 7th. Just Google it and see what the Israelis were dealing with. Just look it up. Just Google it. There are videos out there. There's actually this very good documentary that was done. It was very, very, very well received at the time, by the way. Very good documentary that talked about like 40 beheaded babies. It's very sad. A very sad thing. Do we not believe anything anymore? Do we not believe anything? Or do we not have any guiding principles? Like literally at all? Genuinely.
Oh, wow. Chat said, I have empathy for my good friend who was on the ground as a field medic for the first Ebola epidemic. I know Ebola is like really making a mess of things right now. There's so much that needs to be done. I've been following some of the stories about the Ebola breakouts, and it's just like never ending. That's what I'm saying, guys. Like some people's lives, they're just like never ending, like trying to keep control of these diseases, trying to help people with illnesses, trying to save people. And you know what's crazier is that Trump is doing everything he can to cut all of these, like all of our connections to these countries, all of our connections to even helping with illness. Like it's really like we're in the bad times. Okay. Right? Chess says, what about Googling Abu Ghraib, Ryan Grimm? Okay, but you know what's so funny about Abu Ghraib? Wait, did you read my mind? I was just thinking about the Abu Ghraib drama that's happening. Do you know about this? What's that blonde kid? Dean? Dean didn't know what it was because he wasn't born yet, which I do hold some empathy for. I think the issue is that I do hold empathy for him. He's so young, but also this is why I say stop making children your leaders. This is why because he didn't know what it was. If you guys don't know the story, Dean was asked about it. He didn't know what it was. He had to Google it. It's because you keep putting fetuses in front of microphones and being like, why don't they know anything? This stop making children your leaders. You need to make reasonably aged people your leaders and make sure that they have younger people informing them of younger things and older people informing them of older things. Stop putting super old people and super fucking young people in charge of shit. Can we get some middle-aged people out here, please? Can we get some middle-aged 35 to 50 people out here, please? Like, he would have known this if he had somebody in his court who was a little older and be like, Abu Ghraib. You know what I mean? Like, but he didn't. Because you keep making, like, the youngest people famous. That's what I'm saying. These debate bros are a fucking joke. They haven't even graduated elementary school, and you're, like, great political thinkers. Why are you so mad at him? You should be mad at yourselves for making him famous.
At all. This is identity politics. Ryan Grimm sees a white man be unjustly maligned, and he's like, no, I must defend him. I must defend him. Because I need to defend him because I need to defend me. Because I'm a white man. So we think about how white men are treated by the left sometimes. People are just so mean to white men. They're just like super meanie bo beanie to white men, and I don't really like that. White men are overrepresented in government still. In all levels of government, white men are overrepresented. White men are overrepresented in leadership, right? Upper management in companies, in the C-suite, right? Black men are overrepresented in the prison system. Don't talk to me about the oppression that white men face. You're a journalist. I expect better from you. I expect better from you. What are we talking about here? This idea that, like, there's this, like, unfair, unjust malignment or malignance when it comes to the way that white men interact with society is laughable. You should be embarrassed of yourself, right? And it's not even just not white men. It's not even just Ryan Grimm.
Right.
It's Keith Edwards as well. Keith Edwards said a progressive presidential candidate in 2020 told me that they wanted to hire, but they had too many white men on the campaign. Oh, you poor baby. You poor baby. Oh no. Oh no, you couldn't join the 80% of of white men? Maybe not 80%. Right? Maybe 75% of white men on Capitol Hill or in the staffer suite as a white staffer.
Hold on, what is this? I just pulled a number that's kind of crazy. I got it basically spot on. Whoa. Significant improvements in recent years. Overall, about 74% of the Democratic staff and 94% of the Republican staff are white. About 62% of the U.S. population is white. Holy fuck! Overall, about 74% of the Democratic staff and 94% of the Republican staff are white? Holy shit! That's crazy.
Oh, you couldn't join that? Is that so sad? Is it so sad? This is the same thing. This is the same thing as conservatives crying about how they didn't get the job because they're a white man. This is Charlie Kirk. You are Charlie Kirk.
No. We are Charlie Kirk. Just said them. I'm young and useful too, guys. I know how to meme.
Carry the flame, bro.
All right, let me tell you exactly what I said, okay? So this was in response, first and foremost, to United Airlines saying that half of all their new pilots that they're going to hire are going to be women or people of color. Currently, they're 15%. Okay. So they want to go from 15% to 50%. A conversation then ensued about how every time affirmative action is employed, standards have to be lowered. There's not a single instance where that does not occur. So then I said, boy, if I see a black pilot, I'm now going to wonder, is that individual qualified or were they selected because of their race? comma, but that's not who I am, but this makes me think this way. And I stand completely by that statement.
You're doing turning point Charlie Kirk rhetoric right now. In what? To defend Graham Plattner? For Graham Plattner. You would debase yourself this far for Graham Plattner.
Embarrassing. That's why, aren't you embarrassed about Hassan doing so much work for Graham Plattner? That's what I'm saying. He's not endorsing him, but he's endorsing him, okay? He's literally like, nobody cares that he cheated on his wife. Nobody cares, bro. Nobody cares that he did all these things. Nobody cares. Like, you guys don't even care about some stupid tattoo. Like, okay.
Charlie Kirk literally said stuff like this. Conservatives still say stuff like this. They say that I would have definitely been hired for this job, but this black guy took it from me, bro. There are ongoing fights right now in universities where white and Asian kids are crying about how black people are stealing their spaces after affirmative action was killed. There's no more affirmative action, and they're still doing that. Black representation at Harvard still has not changed. It still has not improved. It's still in the gutters. And yes, Ryan Grimm cheered. Ryan Grimm literally cheered the death of affirmative action in DEI. Ryan Grimm thanked the Nazis who got rid of DEI because he felt it was an impediment to class consciousness. His words, not mine. Ryan Grimm is a racist. He's racist. This is what racists do. These are the things that racists say. Bar none. If Charlie Kirk was alive, sorry, bro, my bad.
If Charlie
Kirk was alive, and he said this, we would all understand. We would all understand that it's racist. We would get it. But when it's Keith Edwards, Ryan Grimm, supposed leftists, saying that they got their job stolen by like a black trans disabled non-binary person or whatever.
Wait, this guy's supposed to be a leftist? This guy's supposed to be a leftist? Which guy? Ryan Grimm. Ryan Grimm says he's glad Platter won. This guy, the news host, we weren't watching. Like, I was confused because when I was watching it, I was like, are these guys supposed to be liberals? And then I was like, oh, maybe they're conservatives that I forgot. Oops.
And that they didn't get the job because they were a white man.
That's
it's
crazy.
Like, oh, poor baby. The left is not doing a good enough job of attracting white men. The left has a problem with pushing away white men. Sad face, sad face, sad face. Not even including the fact that white home ownership, like white household wealth is still 10 times.
Look, Chet says, isn't affirmative action most useful for white men in the workforce? Affirmative action isn't even like the greatest policy overall, but the fact is that people who want to take it away aren't going to replace it with something better. So there are problems with it, absolutely. And, you know, same thing with unions. There are problems with unions, but we still need unions. Like, whether we like it or not, the fact is we shouldn't even need these things in the first place, but we do because society sucks and it's racist. Okay? So yeah, like affirmative action is not as helpful for a diverse group of people as it could be, which is why we need something better.
And
more wealth than other households. Median wealth of the U.S. December 2021 prices by race and ethnicity. White, 250,000, 200,000, 23%. Black, 77. Change, 77. Let's see, 2,700. Okay.
Times. Black median household wealth. These disparities are still there. They are currently ripping and peeling the Voting Rights Act and consolidating the black vote so that they don't have any power in politics. And you're worried about how white men are being treated in a political system? And you expect me to take that seriously? You're a journalist, bro. You're a journalist.
At this point, I don't even know what a journalist is because a lot of people identify as journalists. Like, maybe I have imposter syndrome, but there are so many things that I just could not identify myself as that when people do, I'm like, you think you're a journalist? Are you a journalist? Like, I don't even know what a journalist even is at this point, since everybody and their mom says they're one.
And you're doing all of this for Graham Plattner. And I have to show you the Ryan Grimm thing. So that you see it right here. Christopher Rufo, the Nazi, says, this is personal for 5 years. This was in 2025. This is last year. This is personal. For 5 years, Leftists doxed my home, tried to get me and my wife fired, threatened my children, targeted my reputation, spread lies about my work, dragged me into lawsuits, and prosecuted my sources. We're going to abolish DEI everywhere, then solve the earth.
Oh.
Ryan Grimm says DEI was an active impediment to the project of building a multiracial working class movement capable of taking on corporate and oligarchical power. Rufo did the left a favor by nuking it. Like, he's like cheering on the death of DEI, right? That again.
This even says, this is well said, I co-sign it. I guess there's a link.
Black people still have not recovered from. These disparities are still there, and DEI was a Band-Aid solution to trying to fix these disparities. And Ryan Grimm was like,
hold on, Pastor Ben in the chat here, I don't know who that is replying to Ryan and says, you can't be serious, Ryan. The subtext here is the impediment to working class solidarity is anything that addresses centuries of systemic disadvantages to minorities. Yeah, who is this guy? Author? We've got the People Squad. This is Your Country on Drugs, co-host of Breaking Points. Yeah, I thought Breaking Points was, maybe they're just liberals. So they're not like leftist. I don't know. See, I never know what everyone means when they use words.
just rip it up. Who cares what happens afterward? Crying about white men being treated poorly on the left. These are racist. This is racist. This is racist behavior from a racist person. It's so stupid. It's so dumb. It's so dumb. And people got mad at me when literally yesterday I said the entirety of the political landscape, the entirety, all of it, from the far right Nazis to the far left revcoms, the entirety of the political landscape is centered around white men. It's how do we attract white men? How do we save white men? How do we get white men? How do we pull white men? Thank you, white men, for winning.
Oh, chat says Breaking Points, their shtick is literally one leftist host and one right-wing host. Oh my gosh, what is this? Sean Hannity and Combs? Hannity and Combs? Is anybody old enough to have watched Hannity and Combs growing up? That was that when I was young on Fox News, but Combs died. Sean Hannity is still alive and making the world a horrible place. Oh, that's so funny. Yeah, but I've been saying this and I'm happy to see other people say it because it's so hard, but it does feel like, and I know I'm a white West Asian woman, so I get it. And I really do think there's even a type of white woman that is more acceptable than, I don't think I come in the white woman type that they like. Not that I do politics, but even so, like, you know, there's a token, like there's a play here in which I remember when I was, it would be like, oh, the West Asian, like they would have me at an event and call me like the representation for the non-white. Does that make sense? You know what I mean? And it would be only useful to them if I was interesting, but otherwise I'm not pretty enough in the white woman way to be one of the pretty white women who talk about stuff, nor am I like peaceful enough with everybody. I'm too combative. I'm too aggressive. You know what I mean? They don't actually want aggressive women in politics, not even the left. Like, I feel like Kamala Harris tried to be like tough, but no one believed she was tough. But if she was too tough, she would have been an angry black woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're trapped. Even on the left, I think like liberal or leftist, like even leftist people, a lot of the women get called like naggy, or if you're even femme presenting, if you're non-binary but femme presenting, it's like you're causing issues. Why are you causing issues? Why are you talking about this? Like, why are you ruffling people's feathers? It's like, yeah, you know. Chet says, no, literally, I thought white people, especially white women, have a hierarchy based off color of your hair. No, yeah, they do. Yeah, even the fact that my hair is curly would bring me down a peg. Like, this is why. Listen, I first and foremost do everything for myself. And then I second understand how it plays into the real life. But I know for a fact that if I straightened my hair and styled it a particular way, it would give me points from everybody. And look, I don't mean to point out even my own audience who I love so much. I do not doubt that we are all susceptible to being human beings and that we tend to like when people look a certain way. And I think like whether we like it or not, no matter how progressive you are, it is very hard to watch somebody that you don't think is pretty. And if that's why even in leftist communities, disabled people are still discriminated against, because there is just like, there's a look. People expect a look. You know what I mean? And it is what it is. That's why I say, like, Hassan being attractive isn't a joke. It's actually very political. Beauty is political. Fashion is political. I'm not just saying this because it's funny. Like, Hassan's like, oh, you think I'm attractive. No, it is political that you are where you are because of the way you look. And everybody else who doesn't look that way, no matter how much plastic surgery they get or how much they do their hair or how much they change. And then that's the only reason, like, the only way we could compete is if we went under the knife. And I'm saying, like, there's something about that. That's why people question if getting plastic surgery is even patriarchal. Could you do it for yourself? I do think you could do it for yourself. I do. And I think I wouldn't blame people for doing it to get ahead in life, because look at how superficial the world is. You know?
In the election. Curse you white men for losing us the election. We need to get white men. We need a Joe Rogan to the left. They have a Joe Rogan. We need our own Joe Rogan. That is the entirety of the political landscape. All of it. And people tried to say that it was just liberals. And I've been trying to tell people for months and months and months that it's not just liberals, that leftists were doing this too. And they called me a liar.
Okay, shout out to the curly hair girlies. You said, to be fair, I did trust you more as soon as I saw your curly red hair, because I figured you'd seen some shit that means you're not as isolated in a way I cannot connect to. I love that. And look, this is insulated. I will say, guys, look, I know I'm not black. But I cannot explain to you how much black women have been so important for my life. Like, just like, if I was explaining this to my friend not my friend. Oh my God, I'm married. I was explaining this to my married partner the other day. My friend, he's like my friend. I was like, so you see this kid's cartoon? It was a anime. And I was like, you see how there's a black girl and there's a white girl with blonde hair? He's like, yeah. And I was like, okay, so if me and my bestie were watching a show together and we identified with the characters, who do you think I was? He's like, oh, you were the black girl. I was like, I was the black girl. When we played Spice Girls as kids, who was the black girl? All the friends go, you're the black girl, because of my hair. And so all of my life, if you looked at like stories of friends, like, oh my gosh, which character are you? It was always Brittany's the black girl, because I'm the only one who had curly hair growing up. I'm the only one who like looked adjacent to whatever the character was. And also the black girls on the shows were always like a little bit more like tough or toppy. And that was me. So growing up, everything I learned about my identity was sort of through the black bubble. And then everything, that's why I watch so much black content now, because it raised me in many ways. How I learned to do my hair, black girls. How I learned to wear clothes, black girls. Like how I learned to feel comfortable, black girls. So it's kind of interesting, like the way you have to pick a character in the show. And like, it wasn't like, that's just how I grew up. But I'm still not black, and I didn't grow up in a black neighborhood. So I also I'm not going to sit here and be like, I actually grew up black, so I don't. Like, no, I still grew up in a suburb with white people. It was just because of the way I was. Like, when I would walk into a room, guys, this is so cringe. Boomers in the community would say, oh my gosh, you look like a sister. And I'd be like, first of all, pause. Can we say that? Can you say sister? They're like, you look like you came straight out of the, and I'm like, so I grew up in a very weird middle place where I'm like, what's happening? Anyways, you internalize that feedback. And good news is, if only, you know what I mean? I do not take it as an insult. Obviously, I embrace it and I love it. But I get why, like the you know how I have a haircut coming up? My partner was like, show me your inspo photos. And they were all black girls. Because if you look up curly hair with my hair, it's only ever black girls in the photos. And I'm like, I mean, look, I know I'm not black. And I'm not saying that. But this is why I say like blackness is so much more important to so many people, not just black people. But white people don't even see the value of it because they don't see how they reject. Like, this is why I say like I am white. But my lived experience is always in a weird place where I'm never white enough, but I'm never brown enough either. So all my inspo pics are obviously like black girls. And I'm like, because they have the closest that I can even get. When I Google white curly hair, it just never quite, it's always it's always these things, you know? So anyways, all of this to say, black women are so important. They're saving people's lives out here and they don't even know it. And they really taught me everything I needed to know about skincare, hair care, and how to dress myself. So shout out to them. And also, fuck the leftists who keep propping up white supremacy in the guise of we have to do it because he's the most popular. Thank you.
They called me a liar. And you have Ryan Grimm right here saying exactly that. Saying that the left is being too many beating to white men, the left is doing reverse racism to white men, and we're losing white men. And it's the problem that needs to be fixed because white men are super nice and cool and stuff. So he's totally fine with ripping up the few band-aid solutions to fixing these hundreds of year disparity when it comes to hiring practices, when it comes to universities, when it comes to black people in layers of education, in levels of leadership, in jobs, and in politics. He's totally fine with ripping all that up with no plan on how he's going to fix these disparities. But don't let you say that white men are bad and then Ryan Grimm is going to come for you. And he will pour all of his effort into defending a white man, maligning black people to do so. He's calling a black socialist, an actual socialist, who was a member of the DSA who just won his election a liberal. Because he did not defend Graham Plattner hard enough for him. You cannot call that anything else but racism. You can't. You cannot call that anything else but racism. And it's not just Ryan Grimm. It's not just Keith Edwards. It's Crystal Ball. It's Kyle Kalinske. And I'm sorry, this extends to Emma and to Mike and to Hassan as well. Because white people ignore this like it's happening, bro. You ignore this like it's not happening. And it is happening. And when I speak on it, nobody says anything about it, bro. I get harassed. I get attacked. I lose my audience. I have no one listening to me when I say this. And you say nothing about it. Nothing at all. Black people continually leave this organization, they leave this movement, and they do their own stuff, and they're not a part of this movement, but the white people who are in this movement get the central focus of it. They get the viewership, they get the eyes, they get the attention, they get the positions, they get the elected official offices, and that is it. That is all. That is all that happened. And white people are allowed to ignore it like it's not happening.
He's so right. This is also the experience I feel like I'm having in a different way from the philosophical perspective. This is true. And Emma's also been pissing me off lately, Chad. I see you. Emma has been pissing me off. That's what I'm saying. And people try to use that against me. Like, Brittany, what do you think about the fact that Emma has been promoting Graham Plattner? I don't give a fuck. So they're like, oh, but you keep saying it's just men. It's just patriarchy. Okay, so Emma's engaging in patriarchy. Okay, and like, don't sit there and be like, well, this woman says it's okay. It's like, okay, and
but this is the life of black people. This is our life. We can't just ignore it like it's not happening. We can't. And you saw with FD, you saw with me as well. You have black people who are literally saying,
wow, was that already a week ago? Of course it was. Yeah, 400,000 views. Why I left the white left, FD Signifier.
And I am leaving the movement and nobody cares.
Yeah.
You have the few black leftists that actually want to engage with you saying, I'm leaving the movement and you do not care.
It's because I'm telling you, these white guys do it for fun. Hassan, all these people, Destiny, Vosh, they're literally having fun. Dean, they're having fun and fucking their fans. They're having fun and fucking fans. That's what they're doing. I'm telling you right now, they are just having fun. They say it's for a good reason. They say this, but it isn't. Cam said this yesterday. Cam said he got some opportunities to interview like what's his fucking name from California, Gavin Newsom, and then when he was given other opportunities, he said, hey, I'm not going to pull my punches and I'm not going to like play nice with the Democrats, and opportunities stopped coming. So my question is, again, if Hassan is in such opposition to the Democrats, then why does he get all the interviews? Because I'm telling you this right now, the Democrats I think they're beefing with Hassan almost like to promote themselves. I almost feel like it's an inside job where the both of you are fighting for fun to make views, like Sneeko and Fresh and Fit, all these people, they get into fights with everybody and then they all get famous together. Is that what's happening? Because behind the scenes, I'm telling you right now, this is what's happened. That's why I never get into beef with YouTubers, because I think it's unethical. I think I think a lot of them do it on purpose. Oh, we're beefing. Like, you know what I'm saying? What keeps Ethan relevant? What is the most relevant thing about Ethan's show? Because it's gone down in views. It's anytime he covers beef now. Now, Ethan, he's only popular when he talks about his beefs. Yeah, people who are in beef with Ethan Klein get more views because people want to see the drama. But that's why I say, like, stand up for yourselves. Do not. Okay, there's a difference between standing up for yourself because Ethan Klein is coming after you and creating fights with YouTubers so you stay relevant, which is what Ethan does. Ethan picks fights with people to stay relevant. He's obsessed. He's just lost the plot. Okay. And I'm saying Destiny and all these other people, that's what they're doing. That's why Hassan Piker is like, I'll talk to Asmin, I'll talk to Sean Hannity, I'll make, and I'm saying, I don't want to have to talk to these horrible people. And so when people come to me and go, why are you so upset with Kyle Kulinski for calling women the B word? It's like, I don't know why he has to do that to make his point. And they're like, yeah, but they're fascists. Okay, and? What's your point though? Why are you doing it? I know why fascists call women the B word. Why are you doing it? So, you know what I mean?
They're saying, I cannot be in community with you because of how we're treated here, and you do not care. What you care about is the dark woke commander. You care about attracting white men. You care about the optics of how it attracts white men.
Oh, remember that TikTok I showed you of Hassan being interviewed and they said, what's your blind spot? And he said misogyny. And then he said, yeah, sometimes like people think it's misogynistic. It is. And then he goes, but you have to remember, I'm trying to bring men over. You have to remember, I'm trying to bring men over. Okay. So you would rather have white racist men than progressive women in your corner. And then progressive women are supposed to be just shut up and be quiet because Hassan's doing all the work for us. Cool.
You care about the white people who are part of the movement because that is the political project that you're building. And you made that loud and clear. You made that loud and clear. And this is just the last example of that. I don't expect anything from Bad and Banana. Bad and Banana's been a racist. So that's not a surprise.
Boo, Bad and Banana, boo.
It's frustrating. It's frustrating. It's frustrating, right? Because come the election cycle, when black people are either not voting or they vote for the Democratic Party, right? Because at the very least, the Democratic Party will elevate black people to optical positions of power. It sucks, it's bad, and that's not liberation. But at the very least, the Democratic Party would be like, here, have a position of power. Here, take this one position. Here, take this, take this. And so black people will look at the progressive movement and they'll see policies that affect them. And they're like, and you tell them, literally, you look them in the face and tell them, we don't want to build a movement with you. You're not white men. You look them in the face and say, I don't want to build a movement with you because you're not white men. And then you're mad at those same black people for going somewhere else and doing something else.
Wait. Sean's chat says Kyle still hasn't openly embraced socialism, has he? Because 2 years ago he was progressive lib and I never got people calling him a leftist. Oh.
And then you're mad at those same black people for going somewhere else and doing something else. You get mad that there's no black.
They absolutely shame them and then they tell you that's see why you're struggling? Because you just won't trust white people again. They say this to all marginalized people. I'm sick of hearing it from people saying, just trust us this one last time.
Black people at those same black people for going somewhere else and doing something else. You get mad that there's no black people in the DSA. You get mad there's no black people who are self-identifying as a socialist online or whatever. You get mad when black people are building their own organizations and building their own movement. And then you get mad when those same black people who you've thrown out of the movement consistently don't want to endorse your stupid candidates. Kyle hasn't even openly embraced socialism as he 2 years ago saying that he's a progressive lib. I never got people calling him a liberal. Yeah, like Kyle Kulinski is a liberal. Kyle Kulinski is objectively a liberal.
Damn, objectively a liberal. I didn't know that. I didn't know I didn't even know. Is Kyle like not socialist or communist or nothing? Like he's just still a capitalist? Why did people give him so much credit? Hassan literally said the other day, oh, my brother, my dark woke brother. Like, this is what I'm saying. All these boys are in a frat and they won't let any of us in. And even in the way that we show up, they're like not good enough. And I'm like, what is this frat, bro? We don't want to be in this frat. Do you know what I mean? And then they're sitting here like they're still, that's what I'm saying. Hassan is popular because of white supremacy. And people in my chat who are like, you're being so racist against Hassan. He's a Muslim. Again, if this man's name was Jake, nobody would know this man was a Muslim. You only know he's a Muslim because he says he is, even though he's not a practicing Muslim. And I'm not taking that away. Islamophobia is so fucking real. But Hassan isn't showing up in a hijab. He's not like, you know how many girls show up every day in a hijab and they get just murdered in the comments by men, both Muslim and non-Muslim? Like Hassan doesn't have to even be visibly Muslim. You know what I mean? He's not even visibly Muslim. Like the only reason you know he's a Muslim, maybe is if you know what his name is. Maybe. Otherwise, he just dresses like every liberal lesbian I've ever met. Like, you need to relax.
He's not a leftist. He's a liberal. He tells people to join ICE because we need more good people in ICE. He is a liberal. He is objectively a liberal. He is not a socialist. He is not a communist, right? He's barely a progressive. But because he's white and he says slurs, you're like, that's what I need. I need that for me because the movement you're building is a white movement. And I want you to be honest with this. This is an uncomfortable truth that a lot of you don't want to engage with. This is the truth. You are building a white movement. You are building a white movement. You're not building a multiracial movement. You're building a white movement. Look at all the voices who have prominence in this movement. Just look at it. Just peer into it. This is a white movement. And I've said it all the time. The reason why they're building a white movement is because they only care about themselves. It is inherently selfish. They want their free healthcare. They don't care about liberation, right? This is why they have zero issues with Bernie Sanders, right? Bernie Sanders could have done no wrong, did no wrong. And Bernie has these same issues. Bernie Sanders and his reaction to the—
Yeah, I agree. First of all, I agree with everything Sean's saying right now. And I feel really validated, honestly. Really validated. Chad says, I hate dark woke. It's white men's excuse to be bigoted towards minorities who are trying to assimilate to white supremacy and patriarchy. 100%. It's just an excuse to be a bully, but in a way that like you get cheerleaded. That's why I'm saying like you know what? The rise during lockdown, when lockdown was happening, a lot of white liberals rose to huge prominence on X because they were like tweeting at conservatives. And I think this was even before Elon bought X. He was like, they were like tweeting and becoming famous for just being as bigoted, but towards the right. And therefore it was justified. And I'm like, what's happening here?
The reparations question is exactly this. But you can't criticize Bernie Sanders in the way that he engaged with the conversation of reparations because then you're a wrecker, right? You're ruining the movement.
Sean's handle is Sean DeBlack. I mean, he's leaving to go to school, but if you want to support him, honestly, I can't believe his channel isn't bigger. He's had, am I confused? Should he not have more followers? It's 22,000 followers. I feel like he should have so many more followers because he's been he's been on Hassan's platform, though Hassan doesn't really like feature a lot of people of color, Black people especially, like prominently on his stuff. Like notice that his continuous regular podcasts are with white people and Austin, who's Lebanese. You know what I mean? But I feel like he should have, he's on Twitch. Oh, he's a Twitch streamer. Okay, well, there you go. Sean's a Twitch streamer.
Movement. Because it's not our movement. It's their movement. It's a white movement. And that is all it is. If it does not center whiteness, they do not care. And that is why they love Graham Plattner. They don't love Graham Plattner because he says Israel shouldn't get weapons. They don't love Graham Plattner because he says universal health care. There are other people who say these things that don't get the attention that Graham Plattner is getting now. They love Graham Plattner, and they say this specifically. They love Graham Plattner because Graham Plattner is a white man. And Graham Plattner is useful to them. Stop me if you've heard me say this before. Graham Plattner is useful to them to attracting other white men because Graham Plattner is helping them build a white movement. That's it. It's purely numerical. They look at the demographics of society and they say, well, white
politics is about winning. It's where good people go to die. I stand by that. It's why I left politics all those years ago. I'm still political as a citizen, but I'm not one of the people involved because there's a difference, right? I'm still political as a citizen. I'm just not political as, I don't want to play the game. I don't want to fucking be with you people because I think this is exactly the problem. Every group I ran into, no matter how left they identified, this was happening behind the closed doors and it was really bad. It was way worse than I think even people are willing to talk about because it almost feels unbelievable. I mean, just a little bit we share, we get oh, you're lying, you're jealous. You're so jealous of Hassan. You're obsessed with him. Oh my God, you're so jealous of Graham Plattner. You just oh my God. It's
white people are still one of the big.
This is why I don't blame people for going and meditating in the mountains. This is why I don't blame people for living for their family and their lives. I mean, I wish personally that you would go and help your community locally, but this is why I don't blame people. How can I blame people for not believing in a system that consistently tells them, this time I promise I won't fuck you up. And then they do it anyways. They won't fuck you over, but they do it anyways. You know?
Biggest demographics, and white men are still also one of the biggest demographics. So why are we not attracting them? Because they don't care about intersectionality. They don't care about building an intersectional movement. They don't care about marginalized people. I say this all the time. My focus by being a leftist, right, is centering marginalized people. And I know that frustrates some people, but I will always go back to my framework. I wrote it.
Oh, hold on. Chet says, do you mean leftist spaces as distinguished from feminist spaces in your experience? I mean, I don't know, the way these feminist spaces who claim to be feminist and left have been talking lately online, I'm also getting the same comments from their fans. Literally, the way Chelsea Fagan's fans have been treating me is the way Destiny and Hassan fans treat me. You're jealous of her. You just don't like her. Just say you don't like her. And I'm like, I am so confused. And it's because, again, they're not really leftists. They're liberals. And liberals get their feelings hurt, I swear to God, just as much as Republicans. I'm not trying to hurt Chelsea's feelings. I'm trying to say, hey, girlie, are you a leftist? Because the way you're talking is ableist and I'm confused. Like, why are you doing this? And so the fact that her people in my comments, go read my comment section. It's the craziest comment section. The last video I posted, I was like, oh my God, girl. Which, by the way, I reached out to her and I asked her for a collaboration to go over some of my disagreements with her just to clear the air, because I don't know if she's been watching my videos. I doubt it. But her fans are so invested in defending her that I'm like, are you listening to what she's saying? Like, I'm just judging Chelsea by her ideas, like what she's saying. And I'm saying, oh, no, you know, and I'm saying, that's what I'm saying. FD barely criticized Tabernacle and he freaked out on FD. And I'm saying, Jesus, you guys are so sensitive. Like, I know it because I've been that sensitive too, but Jesus, can you please? Are we aiming for a better world? Okay, then can we talk, please, about why you made these decisions? Because it's fucking weird. It's really fucking weird. That's all I'm saying. So again, I'm okay with people criticizing my work, but if you don't understand where I'm coming from, you're going to think, oh my God, she's just jealous. Like, what am I jealous about? You know what I mean? Like, same thing with Sean or anybody else. Like, it's like you guys think that these people are infallible or something, or like we don't think they're nice people. I think Chelsea's a pretty nice person. I'm sure Hassan's a nice person. That doesn't mean I don't have problems with the way they use their platform. You know what I mean? Yeah, chat says FD didn't even scratch Tabernacle and people were crashed out. People literally crashed out so hard. And it's like, dude, I like Tabernacle. I like his content. I watch it. But bro, it's like I can't even say. So I'm trying really hard. I'm going to try really hard to just make it clear. I'm arguing against your ideas. I disagree with this idea. I really am not trying to drag, but I think the viewers just like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, it's a lot. These fandoms, I don't get it. I don't get why Chelsea built a fandom that like came into my comments so aggressively, or I don't get it. I don't understand it, but there you are.
In my personal statement to get into grad school, I care about.
Wait, I want to rewind that.
To always go back to my framework. I wrote it in my personal statement to get into grad school. I care about protecting marginalized people. My advocacy is centered around protecting marginalized people.
Well, hold on. Discord says most of these problems could have been solved in emails, to be honest, talking about Tabernacle. But Tabernacle accused FD of not emailing him when he could have. But I just want to say this. Marginalized people do not need to slide in the DMs of white people to correct their behavior. And also it's fucking weird. So I don't know if that's what you're saying, Discord. But I guess Tabernacle could have responded to FD in an email, but he was upset FD didn't email him first. If he's like, you know me, you could just email me, or like we're mutuals. And I'm saying like, I don't know. I don't want to have to email people before I make a video on them. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to be able to talk. But also, you know what I'll do sometimes is if I mention somebody on stream, I'll message them later and be like, oh, hey, girl, just so you know, I went over your video on stream and I had a light criticism of your work, just FYI, in case you see it. And usually the response is, oh, thanks for letting me know. I figured if it was anything important, you'd tell me. And I was like, okay, dope. But they're like, cool. And usually it's pretty chill. You know what I mean? Like, that's pretty chill. But it's interesting. What's the decorum? What's the expectation? And also, what if people don't message you back? That's what people don't say out loud, is most of us don't get emails back. I have emailed a lot of people, and I don't get responses back. So again, like, I don't expect a response back. Maybe they missed it. Maybe it's in their spam email. But I'm not going to keep hounding them. I'm just going to keep making content, because what am I supposed to do? Not speak my mind until they get back to me? So we got to talk about, like, what is the expectation? It should be negotiated and not assumed. So that's another part of it.
And that is it. That is it. That is what I'll do. Before I do anything or say anything in this movement, I stop and I think, does this further the goal of protecting marginalized people? And white leftists or white racists don't think like that. They think, how can this benefit me? Why does nobody care about me? They are frustrated because they are not the centering of the movement, right? Which is why if you look at any of these white leftists / racists, right, They will always say it's not 2020 anymore. This isn't woke one. This is why you look out for anybody who talks about dark woke positively. This is why you look at anybody who talks about woke 2.0 positively.
Yep.
Right? And act like woke one is a problem. Woke was a term that came from the Black community about being socially aware.
Right.
That is it, and that is all. There is no woke 2.0. There's not. The woke 2.0, right, is the reverse.
Oh, wait. Did you guys see this video? Somebody asked me to review this video here. I have it saved to watch with you guys. Who is woke 2? The soy pill? Somebody asked me to review that video, but I don't follow the soy pill, so I didn't know. I've seen their content sometimes, and the rise of woke 2.0 is scaring Blair White. What the fuck is this? Maybe we can talk about that tomorrow. Somebody asked me to review that video. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Woke. It's becoming less socially aware. It's becoming more reactionary. It's centering white voices again. They hated that white voices was not the center point of the woke conversation, and they want to change it back to the status quo. They are no different than the right-wingers. No different. They are white supremacists. They are racist.
But they won't say they are. The other day we watched a Democrat call a gay politician a slur, and people didn't realize that like homophobic Democrats exist. Yep. Racist Democrats exist, homophobic Democrats, transphobic Democrats, anti-migrant Democrats, like anti-immigration Democrats, like, yeah, pro-ICE Democrats exist.
This is racism. It is. This is racism. This is white supremacy. This is white identitarianism. This is no different than Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk said the same thing as this, verbatim. You can find clips of Charlie Kirk saying the same thing as this, right? That white men en masse are losing their jobs to unqualified Black people.
Lame.
Exact same thing. And they are comfortable saying it now because they realize other white people are with them, right? They look to their left and they see Kyle Klinsky dropping slurs. They look to their right and they see
the person who said a slur that I'm talking about was a Democrat voter. It wasn't a politician. It was a Democrat voter, elderly Democrat voter who screamed it at the gay politician. It wasn't like a streamer or anybody. But just to remind you, Kyle does love to say slurs.
See Kyle Klinsky dropping slurs. They look to their right and they see Ryan Graham and they're saying, I'm in good company now. I can finally say this because I couldn't say this before. We can finally talk about how I'm being maligned as a white man because we couldn't talk about that before.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Damn. Okay, great. Shout out to whoever sent that to me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I'll link the video in the chat. I mean, yeah, I agree with all of that. I think I'm frustrated, but this is why I don't do politics. This is why I stick to philosophy. So now you know, I don't want to do politics with these people. I think it's bullshit. I'm interested in philosophy. Now, that doesn't mean as a citizen I don't vote or protest or participate. It means as a creator or a job, I'm not political. And this is why I want you to know, this is why we use other people's content to kind of make my point, so I can give you an idea of what I mean. Philosophy for me liberated me from thinking that I was doing something wrong, because when I was in political parties, I would try so hard to advocate. I'm like, why isn't this working? It's not working because the truth is like we're messier than we want to believe we are. So I was like, okay, how do I help the people the most? How do I help myself the most? How do I help my neighborhood the most? And what I find is it's reassuring people that not only are you doing enough, but the most I want you to do is do a little less bad every day. You are doing enough. Life is really fucking stressful. I really don't want you to do more because the road to hell is paved in good intentions. I want you to be less bad every day. And we can all work on that. I am working on that every day until the day I die. I will be trying to do less bad every day, which, yes, insinuates that there must be something bad about me. Being human is enough. And I know that sounds like it might hurt your feelings, but I want you to use it to liberate your spirit and remember, like, oh yeah, we're not perfect. We're all flawed. We're struggling. Like, there is no perfect man or perfect person or perfect thing to live up to. That we're all so deeply flawed, but there's so much potential there. If you live in this world where you can never do anything wrong and you're perfect the way you are, and then it doesn't even allow you to change and you have to double down. I don't want you to double down on your flaws. I want you to accept that they exist and that you can have a better relationship with them. So whatever today, you can sit down for 2 minutes, take a deep breath and just think like, what's something that I do that I could do less of? Like, maybe you have a habit of slamming the front door and you know it pisses off your neighbor, and maybe you start to learn to close it slowly. Maybe when you park, you don't perfectly stay within the white lines. Maybe you tend to go right on the white line. Maybe we learn to park in the white lines. Maybe typically you say, I don't gotta take the cart back. Fuck that. I'm gonna put it on this tree stump. Maybe we take the cart back or put it in a cart aisle in between, Maybe sometimes, maybe you're walking out of the store and you decide you don't want any of the things, you're just going to put the cart down. Maybe take it to a worker and say, I'm so sorry, I can't buy this, I got to go. And let them put it away. Little things like that. Little things like that every day. One little thing different every day. One thing that you're doing that you're like, okay, okay. Maybe you're not a daily flosser. Maybe you can say, okay, but today we're going to floss. Just one day at a time. Maybe you struggle to take a shower or brush your teeth. Maybe you're neurodivergent or disabled. Maybe you just like one time. Don't think about tomorrow. Tomorrow's too much. Just think about today. Do I have 2 minutes today to brush my teeth? Can I watch a TikTok while I brush my teeth? Can I take a shower today? You know what I mean? Just something, one thing. Don't overwhelm yourself. It's already overwhelming enough. Just one thing.